How about now? Okay. Here's the okay. I hate to does this all work? Does this work for you guys? How's this? All right, I have some bad news though. I have some very bad news, which is that this is very temporary. Um, here's the update, okay? I mean, I guess we can just stream like this, but I don't, I don't fuck. I'm okay, here's what's happening. All right? For those of you who don't know, normally I stream through Streamlabs, okay? This is not Streamlabs, this is Jank. This is YouTube's own streaming method, okay? The real thing I want is to fix shit and get back to Streamlabs because I don't like what this is right now. Um, all right, I guess we're rolling with this for the moment. Um, we're gonna have to keep this real tight though, because I'm like, uh, this is basically the most limited possible way that you can stream. I don't even know how to explain this to you guys, but this is basically terrible from my end. Um, I I don't think it's gonna be a good stream. Basically is all I can say. So I feel like because here's a few things. I can't pull up any images. I can't pull up any stuff. Um, this was honestly more so just a check to make sure that I've got a backup streaming method, basically. Yeah. I think it'd be better not to do a stream like this, just because. Yeah, and then on top of that, I don't know, like, uh, okay, I can see memberships pop up, so at least that's good. So let me just respond to this real quick. Retro Records, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 11 months. Hey Morge, congrats on screwing up Streamlabs. How cringe will the live action be from 1 to 10? Okay, honestly speaking, right? And you guys know I had a very negative opinion of the live action when I first saw the teaser. I thought it seemed cringe to me. I don't think it's like this from the scenes I've seen. Like I saw the Sanji and Zeph scene, and it's like it seems like a it seems like a normal TV show. Honestly, like it doesn't feel like something particular. It's as cringe as a normal TV show is cringe, basically, right? Like sure, TV dialogue is TV dialogue, but it seems fine. Like it seems like would it be a show that I would watch if I was not a One Piece fan? I'm going to answer this, but with a caveat, which is no, I would not watch it if I was not a One Piece fan. But I have not picked up a live action TV show in years. The last live action TV show that was not a comedy, The last live action TV show that was not a comedy that I watched was like, I don't know, The Witcher, and that came out a long ass time ago, you know? So I really just don't have time these days for those sort of things. So, um, I don't know. I think that, by the way, if you go watch, there's a clip that you can find of Zora versus Mr. Seven. You can find Zora versus Mr. Seven. It's like an illegally filmed clip or whatever. That the action looked cool there to me. It looked like a cool scene. Um, yeah. I'm like, at this point, I think that it could just be like a solid good show. I don't know, you know? So if I could get to see a One Piece live action that's a solid good show, I would be really, really, really happy, honestly. Ooh says, "Can I see what's on your shirt, please, Wolves?" Oh yes, my parents got me this. Okay, hold on. It's just like a what is this? It's like a lion thing. It's like that. It's like a lion thing. My parents got me that when I was uh whenever I was last in Maryland. I don't know. Some random shirt. And I was like, this is a bit too much to wear around normally, like in public. But you know, it's cool as an idea. So I'm wearing it here. Mason Fuller says, Morge, do you like Sanji's accent? It turns me on. Sanji's accent definitely took me by surprise. I didn't realize that it's just because it's like you don't expect them to have those sort of accents. You know what I mean? Like I know that Sanji's not supposed to be, you know, like Oda's going with a more global sort of style, I suppose, or the production is going with a more global sort of style with the characters. But still, I didn't expect. It's just not. because okay, put it this way: the English dub of One Piece, right? It doesn't have um the characters doing accents and stuff like that for the most part. Or it doesn't have Sanji doing an accent. So that's just not the Sanji that I know. But at the same time, it's it's a sign the adaptation is trying to do their own thing, which I'm cool with. Flame says the accent fits low key, lol. Yeah, the way I'm all like, I already feel like from what little I'm surprised Usopp's not in much of the promotional material. He really isn't. Like, you don't get much dialogue or anything like that from Usopp in the trailers. Not much of anything in Usopp in any of the scenes that you see. Um, so I can't speak on Usopp, but so far it's clear that every character is their own thing that draws inspiration from the OG, One Piece characters, right? And from what I've seen, I feel like from what little I've seen, I feel like Sanji is going to feel maybe the most different. The accent plays a part in that. I think that Sanji is going to feel the most different, and I think also the womanizer aspect of him that they're playing is going to be a bit more. I don't know, like a bit more suave, I suppose. Feel more like a normal person. Um, Zoro, I watched that scene with him versus Mr. Seven that you can find online, and I thought that scene, it's not going to be as Zoro definitely feels a little bit different because I think it's just hard to. I think part of it is also the actor doesn't feel to me as badass as Zoro himself, but he's got like the stoic, like he's doing a good impersonation of him, I suppose, right? Um, I feel like at least from what I've seen, um, Luffy is the one that's seems most like ironically because Iñaki Godoy was the one that I criticized the most from what little I saw in the teaser. At this point, I feel like Luffy's the one that captures the spirit. Like Iñaki captures the spirit of Luffy, but turns him into a more realistic character, if that makes sense. From what I've seen, I feel like that seems right. Nami is the easiest character I think of the bunch to match a person to to the character. So from what little we've seen of Emily Rudd, I think that makes sense. But that's because she's just the most grounded of the bunch. But overall, I think I really liked. I don't want any of that to come across as a criticism because I really like the fact that it seems like they're recognizing they can't play each character, anime mannerisms and personalities quite to live action. So they're going with a take on each of those, like a live action concept of what the character could be while still being true to the original idea, which I really like. Hernando Rodriguez, thanks a lot. I'm using my birthday to blackmail people to watch with me. This better be good. You know what's funny? Okay, so my car troubles are still going on today. Still going on today. Okay. Car trouble's still going on. Today I got back from like a little mini vacation that I gave myself. First vacation I've had. Like I've traveled abroad, but that's like going back home and stuff to visit people. I'm still working during those times. This is the first vacation I had this last week, like this weekend and a couple days before that. First vacation I've had um since 2 years ago in the summer, basically. All right. So it was a nice little vacation. Okay. I come back, my car is still not fixed because Geico is still fucking dragging their feet with coming, giving a wrong estimate, like not really recognizing something, leaving, then the auto shop realizing that Geico missed something, contacting Geico, Geico then dragging its feet to come back, etc. It's been taking forever. Okay. So today Geico had to set me up with another rental car because it's going to take a few more days before my real car is fixed. All right. So I'm at the rental place and they're asking what like you have to take some stuff down, like what's your employer? I say YouTube. They say, what do you mean YouTube? I say I do YouTube videos, blah blah blah. I explain that I cover One Piece. The guy's like, oh, never heard of it. And I was like, okay, yeah, so it's not really well known. He was like, I was just kidding. Of course, I've heard of One Piece. So that kind of took me aback because like normally people like I'm used to lots of people not knowing One Piece. So I was a little surprised. And this didn't seem like a guy that would know One Piece, if that makes sense. It just like it just didn't seem like a guy that would know One Piece. He's like, of course I've heard of that. Okay. So it's not like he's a fan, but he'd heard of it. And then he asked, "Are you going to watch the Netflix thing?" Basically, I don't remember if that was the exact question, but he made a reference to the Netflix coming up. So I was surprised to hear that somebody like totally random, I suppose, who does not seem like they would know One Piece is aware that there's a Netflix version of it coming up, right? When I talked to my dad and my sister about it, they had no idea that there's a One Piece live action coming up. But so I don't really have a good gauge of how well the marketing has been for it. But I'm interested because again, this is like a totally random person um, who was at least aware that it's going to be a thing. The goat says, "Will your Thursday stream be chapter or live action related?" And that is a very good question. Here's what's going to happen. All right. I'm doing a review of the One Piece live action. That's going to happen no matter what. I want to drop that on Saturday. I think Saturday is a time that most people will have had time to have watched some. So I want to drop that Saturday. The Thursday stream, I would want to be watching the One Piece live action on Thursday. So it's like the Thursday stream, man, what am I doing the Thursday stream? I think that this week, this week maybe I do a Wednesday stream and drop a Thursday chapter review. I talked about this with my editor, so we went over this, but what we went back and forth on a few things. So I'm thinking Wednesday stream, and I just fucking cover OP scans. I don't care, because then I can drop Thursday chapter review, and like Thursday I want I want to be watching the One Piece live action. You guys want to be watching the One Piece live action? Like everyone's gonna be watching the One Piece live action, right? So I think that's what I'm aiming for. Probably it might be a Wednesday stream. Maybe we do it. Let me see. Because I could do a Thursday stream and talk about the One Piece live action, the episodes I've seen, but then there'll be people spoiling each other in the chat about what happens. Is that really spoiling if we all know what happens? But spoiling changes and stuff that they do, because there's no way I'll be able to binge all of it on Thursday. And I think it would be fun to talk about the One Piece live action the day that it comes out. It's hard. Danwood says, "Are your relatives who don't know shit about One Piece excited for the live action? It's going to be weird hearing regular people ask, have you seen that new pirate show on Netflix?" My dad and my sister, when I last spoke to them, which was just few weeks ago, I was back in Maryland. They were not aware that a One Piece, or my dad was not aware that there was a One Piece live action coming up. I think my sister wasn't there for that conversation. So he reacted to surprise with that. But probably the marketing for it, like it'll be shown more on Netflix's front page more recently. So I haven't had any relatives or anyone like that, or really any friends or anything like that talking about the One Piece live action to me. But again, today surprised me a little bit in that this random guy at the car rental was aware that a live action One Piece is coming out. So, Keenan says, "Does this mean Germa has French accents?" I would assume that no. I would assume that Germa has German accents, right? Because that's what they're supposed to be. And that Sanji's French accent, maybe we could assume that that came from his upbringing at Baratier, or not French accent. Sanji's. Never mind. Sanji's accent came from his upbringing at Baratier, but we could still assume that Germa would have German accents, right? Gunner for I don't know if Germa is going to make the cut for the live action, because Germa is very, very cuttable. But Sanji has the only reason the whole Germa storyline really needs to exist is like, yeah, it's good character stuff for Sanji, but I never felt like it was necessary for Sanji. Like, I don't think anybody was reading, post time skip One Piece, or like I don't think anyone's reading post Baratier being like, yeah, Sanji, he really has this missing piece, like that needs to complete him as a character. I don't think anybody was like that. It was nice to get Whole Cake Island, but the biggest plot reason that Germa was relevant at the end of the day was, okay, establishing that Sanji has, special bio enhancements and shit. Gunner455, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 3 months. One Piece live action hype. Can't believe it's so close, and I'm actually excited. Here's to hoping for many seasons and great homage to the source without being too cringe. I don't think it. I really, from the clips I've seen, and I've seen 3 full clips at this point, right? There was nothing from the latest trailer. The initial teaser I thought was cringe, but I was probably being too negative at that point, because it opens with Iñaki giving his speech about I want to be a pirate and stuff. I was like, yeah, this seems a little, not a little. I thought it was straight up cringy. But the more I've seen of Iñaki Godoy, I'm like, okay, that might have not been the best context to get our first impression of him, I think. Because I'm very excited for his performance as Luffy, probably more than anything else. Okay. So that aside, we've seen several scenes, right? We've seen little clips in the behind the scenes. We've seen Nami explaining the world map. We've seen Sanji in the restaurant. I don't think any of it's cringe. It's standard TV dialogue, in my opinion, which is neither good nor bad. But we also haven't seen any of the special, like the actually good scenes at this point. Yeah, we're talking about Whole Cake Island. Like, we don't need to really get into that too much just yet. Mario, welcome to the Pirate King tier. This is excellent timing because I believe um we're taking submission. I don't know if it's already been posted yet or what, but we're taking submissions. For those of you who don't know, this is a great time to explain this. One, let's get the stream likes to 100. I'm so caught up in um the whole streaming issues that happen. I forgot to push the stream likes. Let's get the stream likes to 100. Two, for those of you who don't know, Pirate King tier supporters on Patreon or on YouTube, right? Pirate King tier members, you guys get a once a month podcast exclusively for you. That's longer, bigger, longer, extended, etc. And it's based on topics that you guys feed me. So right now, I'm taking topic submissions for Pirate King podcast, and that's gonna be the podcast that I record by the end of this week. So I'm taking topic submissions. Pretty much the majority of topics that you guys ask me to discuss are going to make the cut for me talking about it in the podcast at length. So topic submissions or bigger questions that you want a more extended answer for, strongly suggest you guys, if you're interested, you can join Pirate King tier right now and all of that stuff. MPA Slick says, "What's good? We doing a first impression on first 2 episodes on Thursday. Hope your day is going well. Send your Morgan Freeman." Let me ask real quick. Mario says, "I recommend the podcast. It's actually pretty good." I still think that the Morgecasts, so the Morgecasts go out for Yonko tier members, and then Pirate King tier members get the Morgecasts and the Pirate King podcast, right? I still think the podcasts I do are like the best. Well, for me, it's the most fun content to do, I suppose, because it's the most unfiltered. But anyway, Mario says, "If you want to see more Unhinged, go for the Pirate King tier." Thanks, Mario. I appreciate the shout outs. But yeah, I do think that here was the initial plan, right? So let me reiterate the initial plan. Okay. The initial plan is chapter stuff I'm doing early. So Wednesday chapter review, I'll probably base it off OP scans unless TCB really pumps it out early. But Wednesday chapter review, Wednesday chapter stream, all right? Then Thursday night, I'm thinking we do a stream and we can cover the One Piece live action a little bit. But no, Wednesday, we'll do the stream Wednesday. Thursday, I don't want to do a live discussion of the One Piece live action till I've seen most of it, because I don't want you guys coming in and just telling me what's going to happen next, like, oh, this is a major change, or episode 7's really good, or episode 6 is really bad, or something like that, or look out for this scene, or blah blah blah. So I'd rather I don't yeah, I think I'm going to do it like this, all right? Wednesday, we'll get the chapter stuff out of there. We'll do Wednesday chapter review, we can be solely focused on the chapter. Thursday, the live action comes out. You will get my review of the live action on Saturday. If it turns out to be a long review, it'll be split up between Saturday and probably like another video that comes out Monday or something like that. But that's the way that it's looking. Jinho Wong, thanks for being a member for 7 months. Are you looking forward to the changes of the One Piece live action? I'm looking forward to the changes of One Piece live action. Yeah, I genuinely am. I genuinely am, because I think it's more fun for me to be able to see their their little like taking something that we already know really well. I don't need to see a one-to-one adaptation, honestly. I want to see their take on everything, because there's certain ways that, for example, the Sanji and Zeph scene, right, that we got in the kitchen. The Sanji and Zeph scene that we got in the kitchen, and even like his little back and forth with Patty, it's all different. It communicates ultimately the same thing that we're supposed to get in their interactions in the manga, right? It communicates the same thing. But in the manga, it's all, it's a comic style pacing and comic style like reactions and like angry faces and stuff like that. This is a more humanized version of all that, right? We're seeing a much more realistic, like real people having these sort of interactions. Their take on how to do a scene like that was, I think done fairly effectively. So I'm interested to see, and I'm getting the sense of that at this point, that what we're gonna see is the same ideas of what certain character dynamics are, what certain scenes are supposed to communicate. We're gonna get the same ideas of all that, but humanized. And that's, I think, the most interesting aspect of the One Piece live action. On top of which, we're gonna get new content that actually probably makes the story a little bit tighter, like Zoro versus Mr. Seven. That's a scene that you guys can go look up and watch right now. It's illegally filmed, but you guys can see it if you want to get a sneak peek at an extended fight sequence. And adding the Zoro versus Mr. Seven scene, I watched that scene, which is obviously not in the manga, and I actually really, really liked that they did it. I don't know how I'd feel about the scene if I wasn't already like a One Piece fan, but I like the idea that we're getting a little look at, you know, Zoro's actual interaction with Baroque works for the first time and turning them down. I also think that what's funny about that scene is if you go look at it, it could have been a really, really fucking short scene. But Zoro versus Mr. Seven, and this is a really fucking minor spoiler, right? Uh, it's actually a really, really, really long fight scene for what it is. But it's not like Zoro's struggling with Mr. Seven. It's like a minute and a half long, just really choreographed flex for Zoro, where he's having like this other fighter is going all out, and Zoro's just like um, easily sidestepping, blocking, just like toying with him pretty much. And it's a really long fight scene that they did for a minor moment that isn't canon. That's really just supposed to be a character flex. So they could have just been like, yeah, Zoro just like one shots him or does something really easy. But they really took their time and effort to make it an entertaining full length battle sequence for Zoro that wasn't even in the actual story. I mean, it is in the story, but it was never actually shown in the story. So stuff like that has me actually very excited for it. Mason Fuller, thanks a lot. Did you see the painting in Baratier with Gaimon? No, I did not see that. I think a lot of the Easter egg stuff I haven't been keeping up with as much. Like I know that they've been slipping in a lot of things, but I haven't looked at all of the Easter eggs that other people are finding. Beheno, it says Oda's voice sounds incredibly Chadly and his house looks insane. One thing that happens is as people get older, like older people's voices just tend to be um, they just take on a certain tone as you age. Because I remember maybe I don't remember, but I've seen interviews of Oda before. Not interviews, but I feel like I've seen at least one. His head was covered and everything like that, but I don't know. It was while he was younger. Also, he still has the Che Guevara poster on his wall. I don't remember that. Bingle the Yoop, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 11 months. Been a little concerned with the lack of Smoker. Do you think it's possible for them to end on the barrel scene post Arlong and use Lockdown as season 2, episode 1? Yeah, I think that's very possible, and I've talked about this before when things were first getting started. I really don't think that would be a bad way to start the second season. Um, because it's the fact is, okay, if you end season 1 if you end season 1 with Arlong's defeat, if you end it with Arlong's defeat, that's a really good, strong climax to close things on. Save it like that concludes the whole storyline of the arc, right? And you can get the bounty posters and everything like that and people's reactions. And I think that's like a really nice farewell. And then them setting off to the Grand Line, right? That would be a cool way to close it, right? It's like we've conquered East Blue, now we're off to the Grand Line, right? Um, and then if you want to have Loketown also serves as a really good finale to the arc. However, here's the thing. You got to think about season 2, okay? Season 2, I think, is all but guaranteed just because the viewership numbers are going to be really high for season 1. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, whatever, the One Piece fan base is so big and so invested in this that we're going to watch it. We're going to watch it. So, season 2, I think, is very likely. So, think about it like this, right? You want to for any show, right? You always want to have a strong season finale and a strong season opener. You always want a strong season finale, strong season opener. Those are the two things that are most important, right? If they close season 1 with Arlong Park, it's a strong season finale. If they close it with Logtown, it's a strong season finale, right? However, looking at season 2, if you open season 2 with like Laboon and Laboon and Crocus and stuff, that's kind of a weak season opener. So they might be looking at it kind of like, okay, let's close season 1 with Arlong Park, so that's very strong finale, and let's open season 2 with Logtown, that's a really strong season opener. You get what I'm saying? So that way they get the best of both worlds. If you want to do it the other way, like would be in the manga, which is close season 1 with Logtown, then you're opening season 2 with a fairly weak little storyline. Like, yeah, them going over Reverse Mountain is cool and everything like that, but Crocus and everything, that's not the most exciting material. Whiskey Peak, maybe if they cut Crocus and Laboon is very cuttable. And you guys might be crying and saying, what about Brook and blah, 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 blah. But Laboon and honestly both, if it's the live action and you're really trying to just streamline the story as much as possible, Laboon and Crocus are cuttable. They're the very cuttable aspects. You could write a different sort of story or connection for Brook, and it would probably still work to a degree. And Brook's so fucking far away. Like, they have so much time to think of something for that. But they could do end season 1 with Logtown, open season 2 with Whiskey Peak, and I think Whiskey Peak is a fairly strong opener as well. So that's their backup option. So I could see it both ways, but you guys see what I'm saying? If you guys think that Laboon is like absolutely necessary to keep, then you're basically saying that there's literally nothing in the manga that can be cut. If you can't cut fucking Laboon, then what the fuck are we allowed to cut? John678, thanks for the 5. Thoughts on Looktown execution being done by Baroque Works instead of Buggy and Alvida might make the season tighter. Oh, that would be a good way to segue. No, it would just be kind of random though. Because it's like why are the Baroque Works people trying to do a public execution for Luffy, Feel a little random. Gaimon, Foxy. You know what's interesting? I think that the Foxy arc is very likely to be cut because we got Foxy's bounty poster. To me that suggests that they're never actually going to try and it's not as though they actually cast that guy as Foxy, right? So they kind of were just like, oh, let's just take any random person and say this person's Foxy, done. That the fact that they're not actually trying to cast somebody as Foxy to me suggests that we're never actually going to get to that. We're never actually going to do that part in the story, if that makes sense. Because it seems like they weren't interested in actually casting for the character. So it's more of he's ultimately going to be an Easter egg. Oh, what's the thumbnail? How do I change that's the thing. I can't change the thumbnail with this right now. You guys don't know. For those of you who are tuning in now, no, the thumbnail's fine. What's wrong with the thumbnail? Oh, I see. I can't actually change it though. Wait, no, I can get a different thing. Hold on. I can get a different thing for this. For those of you who don't know, my usual streaming setup is not working at the moment, so I'm having to do YouTube's jank setup. So some stuff is going to look a little bit different. Let me see if I can do this. And it's also way harder to edit the stream, edit aspects of the stream. Hopefully I can fix it by next couple days. Marty McFly, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 5 months. I have a theory that you can see Smoker at 13 seconds in the official trailer. Just because of the way my stream's set up right now, I'm not going to try and take a look at that, but that's I appreciate you giving us some a heads up on Smoker's inclusion. I do think at the end of the day, Smoker's going to be included, right? I really wonder. Smoker's going to be one of the harder characters to animate too, though. Not animate, but do the visuals for too. Just because he's if Luffy's difficult, Smoker's definitely going to be difficult too. He's a Logia. Okay, this should work. Should work. All right, so the stream thumbnail updated. Milk says just cut either Luffy or Zoro. It's not like the two of the most crucial characters of the story, right? Yeah, I agree. You only really need one of them. John 8678, welcome to the Pirate King tier. You can go, I think it should be up already, but you should be able to go make submissions for the topic that you want me to talk about for this week's Pirate King podcast. I will most likely be able to cover most everything, most close to everything in the podcast. So get your topic submissions now if you can. Spade, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 11 months. Speaking of season 2, how do you think they would do Chopper? It would be hard to CGI him the whole time. Dude, I have no idea how they do Chopper. Because it's just like I really fucking don't know. Because it's just like even in like Game of Thrones, they had to those wolves, right? The wolves were a big deal. They had to hide the wolves most of the time. The wolves could not be shown a lot of the time. Detective Pikachu. Yeah, but those are like full ass movies, movie budgets. Do they have that type of budget to throw at individual episodes of the series? I don't know. And here's the other thing. I think that they did put a lot of effort into fight choreography because I keep talking about this, but I got to see Zoro versus Mr. Seven. So I saw Zoro versus Mr. Seven, and I think that the fight choreography is genuinely pretty good because in Zoro versus Mr. Seven, if you account for the fact that it's not an important fight, it's a throwaway fight, the amount of time and effort they put into choreographing that fight is phenomenal. It did feel like a little bit like toy swords at certain points, but I think that could be, I don't know. It's not an important fight at the end of the day. The movement and then just the type of action that they're going for. It felt like there was a lot of effort put into that, so it made me feel like, damn, if something as small as that is getting that level of effort, I feel like how hard they went budget wise in terms of like creating a really big production for this, it's going to be very surprising to a lot of people. Morio Anime says Shibuya on Thursday. I am really excited for the Shibuya incident in the anime. I'm probably not going to watch it week to week because the Shibuya incident in the manga, I got to binge read most of it up till the very end. Then I was reading week to week. And I think that arc works phenomenally well binge watched. Like really, really, really well binge watched. I mean, so many series work well binge watched, but I think the Shibuya incident in particular is really, really cool binge watched because it's an arc that's very much, a lot of it is just like I'm talking about Jujutsu Kaisen here. Heavy atmosphere, heavy tone, very dark feeling of just like a spiral of negative events taking place. I think a lot of that would be very much. I feel like that's done justice best if you get to watch it all and feel it all play out in one go, rather than having it broken up. Justin Holland, good to see you, man. Thanks for the 5. Thought about snake theory. Yeah, the world serpent. What if the red line was a line of islands before Emu used their power to turn them into the red line it is today? So you think like maybe merge them or something like that? Yeah, the thing that's always like tricky with that theory is the Lunarians thing, and that was brought up in the comments of the video. The Lunarians living on the red line. What does that mean? What does that mean? It would mean that the red line must have predated the celestial dragons, right? Because the only other way it works, if it's like Im creates the red line, then Lunarians live on it, and then celestial dragons show up. But that just doesn't feel quite right? Puppet Chopper. I don't know about that. Raffy Goats is your latest theory is one of your most fun. I really like that theory. Just the Lunarians are tricky. Ender Ayanami says thoughts on Shine. It was a roller coaster. 3-0 for Cody in Western Final. Yeah. So Shine, here's what I got to watch the grand finals of Shine. I'm not too invested in Melee in general, but at this point in time, But I was at the airport yesterday trying to get back here. So I was at the airport waiting for my plane, and I had nothing to do. So I'm opening up stuff, and I see that Cody's in the grand finals of Shine, and like, Cody is at this point my favorite player. I still think he should not make his name. I think IBDW. I think is genuinely a better name than Cody fucking Schwab. If he wants a sponsor, he picked the. It's just not cool to be just the branding and stuff. He has no idea what he's doing. Like, why? Like, I get that you feel more true to yourself, but like, have a fucking gamer tag like Cody Schwab. Who the fuck wants to be like the sponsor for Cody Schwab? Anyway, Cody is my favorite player at this point. I'm just sick of Mango and Mango's stuff. Like, I've been a Mango fan for so long, but it's just like the dude is so it's like at this point the only reason I really love watching Mango play is because his gameplay is just the coolest to watch. But I'm so sick of his attitude and personality and stuff like that at this point because it's just like he's so I don't know. He like makes up so many narratives just to always like justify his own complaints and stuff like that. It's really annoying and it like takes a lot of shots at other players. But anyway, Cody is my favorite player at this point because the dude is struggling quite a bit. I think his Fox play at its peak is the highest level of play that Melee's ever seen. Um, and I just love his approach to the game because I've learned so much just watching Cody break down how he views the game and how he approaches the game. So he's my favorite player. And I thought he was due a break for a while. So I'm sitting at the airport. I have my laptop on mute and I'm watching Cody get 3-0'd by Zayn in grand finals. I have no context for the tournament for this. So from my perspective, I'm like, damn, Cody just lost grand finals. But then I realized that it's a reset. And I was like, oh shit, Cody was on winner's side? Fuck, I've been forgetting to mute my phone. Cody was on winner's side. So then I get to watch set 2 and it's all on mute, but I'm like, holy shit, like set 2 was like the level of play in set 2 of that grand finals was the highest I think I've ever watched in Melee, period. Because they were both hitting all of this advanced shit. Like the number of flubs from either side was very minimal. And like the depth of interactions, just in terms of like one of them's getting a hit, then the other person's doing this defensive measure, then this defensive measure, and then this, and like the other person's just following up over and over. It was like watching two task players basically play. It was absolutely insane. Cody won game 5. I don't know. I think that I wish I'd had the audio on and stuff like that, and just had a bit more investment in the tournament overall and the build up to that, because just watching it on silent on the airport, and I'm just like, this is the highest level of Melee I've ever seen. Like, this is fucking insane what these two are doing right now. Mr. B, thanks for the 5. I have no skin in the game, but I'm very curious. Why do you hate flashy anime so much? You always look in pain watching the One Piece anime. It's not even. I think it's not even like I hate flashy anime. I think you could say Demon Slayer is a flashy anime. I think One Piece overdoes it quite a bit with the flash, but I think what I really dislike about the One Piece anime is not the individual clips that we get. A lot of the individual clips that we get are really good. Some full episodes are really good. Like what was it, 1015, right? 1015, I think, is an amazingly directed episode by like any anime standard. It's the fact that the One Piece anime, it's not. It's generally like it's what it is 95% of the time, right? Cool, 5% of like I just hate. To me, it's just like it's just it puts in so little effort for so much of the viewer's experience, right? It puts in so little effort for episode after episode. It's literally just Record of Ragnarok level quality. Literally Record of Ragnarok level quality. I'm not exaggerating there. It is the same quality as Record of Ragnarok for the majority of its runtime. Then eventually it gets to like, okay, now time to give them like a treat, and then it'll go really hard for like a small section or something like that. And it's cool. They went hard for those sections. But it's just like you're not giving me ultimate like all I want is a show that I can actually sit down and watch and enjoy an arc through just watch, like sit down and watch 5 episodes and enjoy an arc. I can't do that with the One Piece anime. I haven't been able to do that with the One Piece anime since fucking like Fishman Island, because the pacing and the slideshow presentations that they do are just so fucking bad, and the amount that they drag shit out or flash shit, like flashback shit, like it's so bad. I could not sit down and watch the full Wano arc. They've created something that's just like so shamelessly, disgustingly a waste of time that they know that they can keep like viewers hooked and generate what, in my opinion, is like cheap hype or fake hype by like just going really hard for little bits of stuff that people will then just like cream themselves over and spread all over the internet and be like, "Oh my god, it's so good." It's like, motherfucker, if that, like, I remember like we had that really good episode that I saw clips of this too, of like the one where like Luffy restart like is like making his heart beat and stuff like that. Like the cool Gear 5 episode with Kaido where he also does the Roadrunner wheels. And then the very next episode I see on Twitter everyone's like, we're back to the bad pacing, another bad episode again and stuff." It's like, dude, it's like the anime is so shameless. They know that all they have to do is like up their effort for like we're in the finale of Luffy versus Kaido. Every episode here should be really fucking good. Every episode. But they know all they have to do is like do a few good action sequences, and then they can go back to just like uh like taking advantage of the viewers and just being like, well, you guys are gonna watch this shit no matter what, so we don't have to, like, we tried for a couple episodes, now we just don't have to. We don't have to for like several weeks if we don't want to. That's just the way the One Piece anime is, and I fucking hate it so much. So when I say like I dislike the Flash stuff, to me it's just that one, I think it's overdone, but two, it's just like they know what they're doing, which is just they don't actually care about the source material. They don't actually care about a good viewer experience. They know that they need to try at some points and make it. They're like, if we make it as flashy and as over the top as possible for like 2 minutes, then we're allowed to take a break for and like feed them absolute shit for 4 weeks. And that's what I hate about the One Piece anime the most. The second thing is I think that a lot of the One Piece Flash and all over animation stuff, it is also secretly just to pad out timing rather than, animate a scene well. Like if I'm watching Jujutsu Kaisen, like I think like a lot of scenes in the recent stuff, they've had high quality animations and very artistic stuff, but I never get the sense that they're doing it to pad out runtime. Whereas with One Piece, it's like they'll take a random ass scene that's really not that dramatic or not even supposed to be that dramatic, and then just be like, all right, we're gonna really like spend 5 minutes like charging up some aura or something like that and a bunch of reaction faces and then finally have an attack. And it's like, this is a very minor interaction in the fight. A good fight isn't about just like dragging out every single aspect and pretending every single aspect of it is supposed to be a huge spectacle. Hakuza PK, thanks a lot. Toei's always trying too hard or not trying at all. Yeah, that's like the simplified way of basically saying what I'm trying to get across. And the not trying at all is what they do 95% of the time, and then 5% they try too hard. That's not to say that like they don't have some really, really good clips. Like again, 10:15 is great. I thought many clips from Gear Fifth were great, especially in the episode after the episode that I gave my reaction slash review about. Like I thought that next episode was really good too from the clips that I saw. Um, I think that Toei does a lot of really good things, but it's so few and far between. And then the amount of times that they just overdo shit is also just insane. Because they need to pad out runtime. It's like a huge goal of theirs. Alito5, thanks to the 5. Once he finished bludgeoning me with a shovel, Morge leaned in close and sweetly whispered, "No one will ever believe you. Keep up the good work, Morge." You're actually right, because nobody ever is going to believe you. Everyone's reading this thinking it's a joke. Benward says, "Did you make any progress in reading Undead Unluck? I genuinely hope anime will make it super popular because it deserves all the hype. Fuko is the goat." No, I didn't progress any further in Undead Unluck at all. I think with Undead Unluck, I really liked it where I was leaving off. I'm excited for the anime. I think the anime, as long as people are willing to give it several episodes, and it gets to a certain point, like Undead Unluck is one of the rare series where like people kept telling me get to this chapter, I think it was chapter 17, I forget exactly which chapter, get to this chapter, and your opinion will change. It is one of the few manga that has such a sharp turn in your entire perspective of what the series is, and like hooks you, that like goes from, I think it's one of the few manga that really, really goes from 0 to 100 in terms of what hooking the viewer and or like reader and reader interest. in like that sharp of a 180. I actually don't think that there's anything comparable to that I've ever seen. You know, like One Piece, it's like a slow burn, and then there's moments that are really exciting, like Mihawk and stuff. And like Naruto, I feel was good from the beginning. Bleach, like a lot of them, they have their moments where they're adding new stuff. It's like, oh, Manos Grande is here. Oh, this captain and this lieutenant showed up in the town. And it's like they're generally a progression. But Undead Unluck went from literally like I was like, this is ass. This is genuinely just like a cheap, shitty fan servicey manga to whoa, this is really, really fucking interesting. This is insanely interesting. I really want to read more about it. Okay. So I think as long as people are somewhat interested enough to tank through several episodes of the anime, they will really enjoy Undead Unluck. I've not taken the time to read more of it just because there's so many other things that I need to catch up on. But I definitely will catch up at some point with Undead Unluck. People are saying weekly anime. Dude, it's not. No. Other weekly anime aren't like this. I hate that excuse. Naruto was never like this. Bleach was never like this. They were more willing to do filler arcs. And you know what? One Piece used to be more willing to do filler arcs. One Piece is now at a point where it's so successful. This is my assumption. It is so successful, it no longer has to do filler arcs. But One Piece used to do long filler arcs. It used to have plenty of filler episodes and long filler arcs. Like it's gotten to the point where now it's so successful that they don't need to do filler because it's just like they can put out garbage, literal garbage for episodes, and it'll have the same amount of viewers as usual because there's so many One Piece fans at this point. Like so many people watch the anime, they're not just gonna stop watching Wano, and they're just like waiting and waiting and waiting for that next really good clip to come out. So One Piece has gotten to a point where it's too big to fail, essentially anime wise. They can just do nothing and get away with it. It's like it's the dumbest shit. Like no other weekly anime is anywhere close to as bad. No other popular weekly anime, right? Like no other renowned one, right? Like none of the big three and stuff like that is anywhere close to as bad weekly as One Piece is, because One Piece is literally week to week. It is Record of Ragnarok. That is the level that it's at normally. Joey217, thanks for the 10. Mr. Morge, I sincerely love the channel and all the work you put into it. Thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate that comment. Put my brother and a lot of friends onto your videos. Thanks, man. Hyped to binge the live action this week. Hope you cover some of it. I am. What I've been talking about, I don't think I want to stream about it as soon as it comes out. Just because there's no way I'll be able to binge everything on Thursday, and I don't want people telling me about what happens on Thursday itself. You know what I mean? So I think I'll release my first review, I suppose, on Saturday. That's going to be the goal. I'll try and release my first review on Saturday and see if we can do that. And then probably the review of the rest of it Monday or Tuesday or something like that. So we'll see if that's doable. The Outback Pandas, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 6 months. That Murphy teching JD collab yesterday had me in tears. I didn't know that there was a collab like that. Whose channel is that on? I feel like that's got to be on Jay's channel, right? Any collabs you got coming up? Also, just DM that artist. Replies are especially cluttered right now. I can't DM the artist. Oh no, I did DM the artist. I did DM the artist. I don't think I ever got a response on that, so I don't know. I'm sorry, I got it mixed up with another artist that I couldn't DM because not following, etc. But I was able to DM that guy, but just no response. And I don't want to keep spamming him in the replies. So if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out. Maybe I'll give him another. I'll give it another shot. You know what? Just for you, Outback Pandas. Yeah. Any collabs I got coming up? I know I'm supposed to do a video with. I'm not trying to coordinate anything on my channel for some time now. Just because it's like usually I had that run where I was doing multiple collabs and stuff like that, and then I kind of switched gears pretty hard to like, you know what, trying to schedule time to collab with other YouTubers can be a bit of a pain and a hassle back and forth. So it's fun for the novelty of it, but not something I'm going to go out of my way to do regularly. But Randy's reached out. We've been trying to find a time to do a collab on his channel at some point, but timing wise, things very often just don't work out with that. So it will happen, I know, soon, but maybe not necessarily this weekend or the weekend after. Cigar Verg, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 11 months. OP is Dragon Ball to Toei now. Put out garbage, so I feel Wano adaptation justified, and it sells. They still have to introduce the Goat Pinzoro filler. So with um the putting out garbage aspect, I still feel like they probably put more effort into Dragon Ball than they do into One Piece. Um, the other thing is that with One Piece versus Dragon Ball, with Dragon Ball, I think Dragon Ball is already like a lot of the pausing and waiting and stuff like that, right? Like I watched parts of Dragon Ball Super. A lot of pausing and waiting and stuff like that. Dragon Ball was never really good for the story regardless. So, characters like if there's a fight going on and characters are just like everything's slow and like, there's lots of breaks and like weird slow dialogue and all of that. It's kind of like, well, that's just what Dragon Ball is. But One Piece is more, it's got more story to it, right? So like with Dragon Ball, the quality, like ultimately all that really matters is getting a good fight scene when it's time for them to put effort into a good fight scene, right? With One Piece, it's like it's also trying to tell a very, like, honestly, a very layered story with tons of characters and dynamics and emotional storylines that matter quite a bit. So in that's and it does more to like build momentum and you know um, direction for an arc. Like certain scenes just have to carry a certain weight, right? There's more drama involved. So in that sense, it's kind of just like with One Piece, you really can't get away with the week to week Dragon Ball treatment in the same way because what you're diluting is a lot of important, like when you treat scenes and pacing like that, you're diluting the storytelling of One Piece, which is One Piece's greatest strength. You get what I'm saying? It's very different. Like Froyus's Dragon Ball has more of a story than people say. I agree, but it's nowhere close to one. Like you're comparing apples and oranges there, right? It's nowhere close to the strength of Dragon Ball that it is for One Piece. One Piece has a far more dense and complex story that goes for a lot more emotional and dramatic stuff over the course of the arc. That's the sort of stuff that you can't dilute with really shittily paced, crudely done scene direction, and just once you're chopping up the story like that, and I don't know, once you're treating the story like basically just um, some shit that you don't have to put much effort into, and you don't have to put much effort into anything really except for like these two or three little action clips once in a while, like once every 4 episodes. That's something that I think hurts One Piece a lot more than Dragon Ball, in my opinion. Because Dragon Ball ultimately it's not losing that much, I don't think. Anuj Agrawal, thanks for the 10. I love One Piece, but there's only so much padding you can edit out until the direction and beats stop making sense. One Piece is way better for everything past Jaya, but Dressrosa and after is still hell. Damn, that's believable because it's kind of just like music cues and stuff like that are a thing. You can only cut between the lines so much, and if the series has gotten to a point where like you can't even cut like even cutting out as much filler as you can, it's still a slog to get through, then I think that's a real big problem. You know what? What if we live in a world where the One Piece anime is the second best One Piece adaptation out there? What if we live in a world where people prefer the live action over the anime? I think that's possible. I want to hear. Callian, welcome to the Yonko. I appreciate it quite a bit. Watch out for the Mojcast that comes out this Friday. Pirate King tier podcast comes out probably Saturday or something like that. How excited are you for the OP live action? Let me ask that for you guys. Very, very excited. Decently. Yeah, decently excited. Um, tentatively interested and not Ex- not looking forward to it. Let's just get what the temperature is. Justin Holland, thanks for the 2. Do you see another Straw Hat training arc in Elbaf? I don't think so. I don't think we get another training arc personally. I think that with where we're at in the story, it should just be fights from here on out to the end of the series, and that's their method of progression. Majority of people are very excited. That is great to see. I fall into the very excited category. I was saying this in the previous version of the stream that went down um, due to computer settings and stuff that I still have to figure out. But right now, I said this before. If I could get 10 chapters of Egghead Island, like 10 new chapters of Egghead Island come out this Thursday, or I get to binge watch the One Piece live action. I would take the One Piece live action. I really, really like the more promotional material that's come out. That's kind of crazy to me that the teaser I was very, 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 very skeptical of. All right. Every new bit of promotional material that's come out, so like new trailer, new behind the scenes stuff, even just interviews with the actors, little clips of scenes, right? Even the Sanji Zeph thing. I think each individual thing has given me more and more confidence because I'm not seeing any significant holes in any of that stuff, basically. So I'm like, the more they show, the more solid it looks, and like the more it seems like they've got a clear vision. Um, so I'm really, really looking forward to it. Like genuinely, I feel like I'm just gonna try and take aside as much time as I can Thursday and Friday to just be able to tear through the entire thing because I really want to see it. Chino Wong says Morge really disliked the teaser lol. I haven't gone back and looked at the teaser again, but I did really dislike the teaser. But it's because I came into the teaser like I feel like the teaser gave us almost no idea of the vision behind the series. It just gave us such small glimpses that you couldn't. I don't want to blame the teaser, right? That's on me at the end of the day. But how I felt was that I couldn't see the vision of what they're trying to achieve. It just felt like the little bits of dialogue, you just couldn't see any sort of cohesion to everything. And I also felt like, especially in Yaki Godoy's opening monologue, it felt too kiddish. To like, there's no way to take his dreams seriously. It just felt too um, I guess cringe is the word that we go for. But again, since then, Iñaki Godoy, I think, has been the most fun part, I think, of a lot of the promotional material that I've seen. Umair Ula says, are you really binging all of One Piece live action in a day? It's 8 episodes, right? So I imagine I'll have to do it between Thursday and Friday just because, you only have so much time. But I'm going to try to because, one, I want to get my review out very quickly, right? But two, it's also just like, for me personally, when I if there's anything that I can binge, right, that I'm excited about, I like to I mean, I guess this is everybody, right? But if there's anything that I can binge that I'm excited about, I like to try and just tear through all of that in one go and just like just really, really be in a space where I can kind of zone out from everything else and just enjoy that for a full period of time. Manifest Joe, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 10 months. Morge, did you see the clip of Luffy and Kobe talking in the ship? I'm massively excited for the show too. Movie Morge kind of making a comeback. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of movie Morge, won't it? Luffy and Kobe talking in the ship. I don't think I've seen that. The clips I've seen are Zoro versus Mr. Seven, Sanji and Zeph from today, Nami explaining the world map. I think those are the full complete scenes that I've seen. Pat says my one complaint with One Piece live action is the set and costume design. Everything just looks too damn clean. Yeah, and I think that's been a complaint of many a show recent days, like the Lord of the Rings series, stuff like that. Like a lot of the newer things coming out. You're saying it's too new and shiny for a pirate world. It looks fake. The set pieces should look more like Caribbean pirates. Here's the thing. With the One Piece series, maybe it works better. Like, I'm not saying better, but maybe it fits the tone of the series better than it would in, say, some of these other series that have gotten the complaint of looking too clean for medieval worlds. It might be better in the One Piece world just because One Piece is supposed to be a more cartoonish, light universe in general, I suppose. So might be a little bit different there. I think it might fit better. Jenna Wong says, "Do you have Stephen Maida's Taken Down interview?" No, I've never seen that. Josie Dirt's color is so important to Oda, though. To Oda, yeah, yeah. Like One Piece world, I feel like should be colorful at the end of the day. I feel like it should have having more of that sort of. I feel like it's not supposed to feel like a Pirates of the Caribbean type world. Swerve 14 says still unconfirmed about release style, but what if the episodes drop weekly? Asking out of curiosity. From what I heard, they're all coming out at once. It's just from what I've heard. Oh, Maida said that they don't have Logtown. Interesting. That makes sense. They probably kick off season 2 with Logtown, which I think is a great way to start with season 2. Yagi says, yeah, it's a batch drop like JoJo. Yeah, there's some series I think are better as batch drops, some series I think that are better binge watched. Well, One Piece would probably be better as a batch drop, actually, like the series. But but that would be if I'm a new person watching. As a longtime One Piece fan, I just want to see it all at once. Amar says, but season 1 is just going to end abruptly after Arlong Park. That's not abruptly. Arlong Park is a great climax of the whole story of East Blue. You close East Blue out. Basically, you beat the big bad of East Blue. You've conquered all of East Blue, essentially. Probably we get the final bounty posters and everything like that. I assume that we get the bounty posters because we did have that scene of Luffy and Kobe looking at the bounty posters, which I assume happens at the beginning of the series. And Luffy being like, where's my name? So you would probably want to end season 1 off with Luffy getting his bounty poster. And all of that happens right before Logtown. So characters reacting to Luffy's bounty, Luffy celebrating his bounty, them having freed the place from Arlong, right? That's a great way to end East Blue. Logtown is just a great way to kick off the Grand Line, which you can do off. Like Logtown is a good way to end the East Blue saga as well, but you could end the East Blue, like the story, the climax, the big conflict of East Blue, it's all resolved through Arlong Park. And the big feeling of victory is post Arlong Park. Then Logtown is kind of the transitional epilogue segment that segues into the new phase of the series. Blazing Blue, thanks for the 10. What do you think of Big News Morgan's being the hawk/eagle atop Yggdrasil in Elbaf? He brings Vivi and Wapol and they get involved with the Strats again. I think that's sure, maybe. I just don't know if symbolically like it needs to represent the hawk/eagle. I don't know if Oda's thinking about that necessarily. Daniel Chukwudum, thanks. I have work in 3 hours. Should I sleep or watch? Oh, just watch. Just watch. It's better. Peter Falk, thanks. Usopp magically wields a real 5-ton hammer in Elbaf. I've heard that theory. That came up on O'Hara's channel, right? I think I've seen it there. The Usopp wielding Thor or Thor's hammer theory, Mjolnir. Doran Russ Tuvias's Logtown is important for Zoro's sword scene. I mean, yeah, but they can do that in season 2. It's not important that it has to happen for Zoro in season 1. See people debating where it should stop and end. I am very curious about why we have not gotten Usopp in much promotional material at all. Oh, let's get the stream likes to 300 real quick. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Why so little Usopp? You know? I think I've seen I don't know how many lines I've heard Usopp say, period. Chintia Mithras is maybe his character's not hype enough for promotional stuff. Yeah, maybe that's true. But maybe some comedy? Unless they're not confident in the comedy lines. Yeah, Jinho Wong saying hardest to sell since his character traits are negative. He's a coward. He's a coward. He's a liar. He's weak, etc. Jovan Hernandez says maybe Usopp's actor portrays him more subtly. I think you have to with Usopp. You can't be as over the top with Usopp's traits in live action, otherwise people would just get too annoyed. Like in a manga, here's the thing. You know what's funny? Even from a manga to anime transition, like in a manga, when a character is constantly throwing in like little lines in between, like little lines in between of like, oh, I'm scared, or like, oh, I too can't go on that island disease and stuff like that, right? They're just little bubbles, right? Little bubbles on the side that you can kind of skim through, etc. And it's just like, you know, practically just background noise. In an anime, then it becomes like actually verbalized, right? So time is being taken for that dialogue to take place in the show, right? So it becomes more obtrusive. And then for live action, it gets scaled up even more because now it's like a real person saying that. So you probably have like a full shot of like you have shots of the person saying their lines and like uh you know like acted out delivery of their cowardice and everything like that. So it probably ramps up more and more. So you got to tone it down more and more for live action. I've one thing out of curiosity because I see people bringing up the critics at this point, right? One thing to remember is that so one thing I've seen, right, is that a lot of the critics I've seen for the show, like on Twitter and stuff like that, everyone has been positive. There's no one that said anything negative. And as I understand, a lot of them are not even One Piece fans. Um, Grain of salt with that, just because like critics of TV shows are infamously like TV shows are much like they random like pretty much you can't go off of like critic reviews for TV shows because TV critics are extremely extraordinarily like lenient in the like there's terrible TV shows that'll get like 80% plus basically. TV shows are extraordinarily lenient compared to like I see like The Wheel of Time, which is an infamously bad show, right? That's got like an 81%. Like TV series in general, um, like TV critics, basically there's a big difference between TV critics and like movie critics, where TV critics are a million times more lenient and will call pretty much any show decent, right? However, the stuff I was seeing about the One Piece live action was genuinely fairly enthusiastic and positive. So I like to believe that there is like weight to what they're saying, you know? Um, I don't know. I'm trying not to read too much into it, but the fact that everyone of the critics is saying that it's better than Bebop is a good sign. Although Bebop's a low bar, I guess, but you know. Yeah, see, like Achintia Mithras's early critics of Cowboy Bebop tore down though. That's the thing. Like it's past like Bebop was so bad that even TV critics savaged it. And TV critics are very, very lenient, right? Um, So the fact that One Piece is passing that bar, it's a decent sign, you know, um, that it's at least going to be much better than the anime adaptations we've seen so far. Ashwin, thanks for the 10. The early critics for Cowboy Bebop devastated them, to be fair. Yeah. So it's clearly a lot better than. It's clearly not like a bad show, I would assume, in that case. You know what I mean? Like, it might not live up to some viewers' expectations, but it seems like it's not a bad show. Luke says it's funny that the clips from some scenes actually got me more hyped than the trailers. That makes a lot of sense because the scenes are where we actually get to see the characters brought to life and actually interacting, you know? Like seeing the Sanji and Zeph scene to me was surreal, honestly. Blackleg, thanks for being a member for 11 months. You should play NES Castlevania. Shit's difficult. NES Castlevania. Shit's difficult. That's really, really random. Thank you. I will consider it. Don't know what to say about that. That's funny. Royal Fun says Sanji's Matt's favorite. No wonder he'll be good. Yeah, I mean, like, you know what's interesting? Like, I think Sanji's scene was really good. Not really good. Like, it was it had me feel it like I watched the Sanji and Zeph and Patty scene and I was like, yeah, this feels like a real TV show. This feels like a normal, real produced TV show with normal like TV level dot. Like this is better than you could have hoped for, honestly, right? I saw the Zoro versus Mr. Seven scene, and I feel like if anybody's worried that like Sanji will get favoritism, I feel like Zoro versus Mr. 17 was also really good or good, you know, entertaining, right? So I feel like all the Strats are going to get plenty of love. Again, the only one I'm a little worried about still is Usopp because I'm just like, is Usopp? Why are they hiding him? Why are they? Why does he not get anything? You know? Abrara Med says BTW Morge Armored Core 6 was fire, great game, and other FromSoft greatness. Oh man, I cannot tell you how disappointed I am that FromSoft like that Armored Core 6 is selling so well. It's so successful and people like it so much. Because now it's like, fuck, is FromSoft gonna be making like more mech games and shit that I'm never gonna play? I wish this one had bombed so that they would just go be like, okay, you know what? Let's make like another Dark Souls Elden Ring s game. But no, now they're gonna be like, let's now we can get crazy with it. Let's make a fucking like let's make a new NBA 2K type game or some shit like that. Like now the world's their oyster. They can make any type of game, and I'm like, no, I just want make that genre type that I like. Make the one that I already want to play. So you know, I mean, I thought Armored Core 6 would probably be good because it's FromSoft, right? And they're FromSoft, so it's gonna be good. But I was hoping no one would buy it. So fuck you guys. Now I got to deal with like I don't know. Now I got to deal with like the best game developer in the industry not putting out the games that I want to play because they realize people will buy other stuff. Rachia, thanks for for the 5. Would want the One Piece anime to get the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood treatment. Um I hope that there's an here's the thing. The One Piece anime does certain things that are timeless in my opinion. Voice acting and the sound, right? Voice acting and the sound. OSTs. So if they ever did a remake of the One Piece series, it's really just the pacing. Like even bad animation, I don't mind as much. It's the pacing that is just kills me. It's so unwatchable. The pacing and the unnecessary flashbacks and throwing in more reaction faces and stuff like that than needed just makes it unwatchable. Um, so I'm like, if there's a way that they could do a remake but keep most of the original voice act, like, is there a way that they can do that, or is like the line delivery would it not line up with a new level of pace that they would go for or something? I don't know, but I love the voice actors of One Piece so much. To me, they are the voices that I think of when I think of the characters. So I'm like, even as much as I would love a remake, I'm like, if it's a remake but with new voice acting, how would I feel? I don't know. Abrar Met says, "Did you see Black Wukong? It looks to be the next Sekiro." I've heard of that game. I think I've even seen some little clips of the game, but I haven't looked into it much. Because they also said that other game, Wolong Dynasty, is going to be the new Sekiro, and I saw some positive stuff about it, but then ultimately I didn't see like I saw a little bit of mixed stuff too, so not enough that made me want to try it. Andrew Lewis says they've made Armored Core games for years. Yeah, that was like before they got successful with Dark Souls and stuff. Armored Core was like their beginning. That was their beginning shit. It's not like they like once they started making Dark Souls, then they realized that okay, this is our new bread and butter. They moved away from that because the Dark Souls stuff was selling, right? So then they do Dark Souls, they do Bloodborne, they do Sekiro, they do Elden Ring, all stuff that I want to play. And now they've gotten so successful that they're like, you know what? Now we can go back and do that shit that we ditched a while back, which was Armored Core. And now we can bring it back, and everybody loves it so much that they'll buy it and play it. And you know what? They're exactly right. And so now they're unstoppable. Now they don't have to make Dark Souls or Elden Ring or Sekiro type games. They can make whatever they want, and it's fucked up because it'll probably be really good. They'll probably be good at whatever genre they do. And it's just like, well, now we'll probably only get the games that like I'll probably only get the type of games that I want to play once every 5 years once they've cycled through. Like, they can do whatever they want now, they can just do whatever they want. For the record, like, yeah, Armored Core 6 is a good game. I'm sure it is a good game. I'm sure it's a good game. Like, I don't believe that they would make a bad game. It's just like it's not the type of game I want to play. So I'm just like, I was praying for its failure because I was just like, if this works, and it probably will work because they're successful and they're riding like a lot of success right now, and everybody wants to play their games, and their games are good, and Armored Core 6 will be good. So if it's successful, then that's the green light for them to start making all sorts of games, which means that they have less need to keep making the type of games that I liked before, That's it. This is not like a fair criticism. Like, I'm not critiquing anything. I'm sure it's a good game. I'm not critiquing FromSoftware. They're, in my opinion, the best video game developer. Like, I don't know that much about video game developers in general. I don't play that much, right? But to me, they're the ones that I like the best. From what little I know, they're the ones I like the best, right? Great stuff. Good for them that it was successful. But also, fuck that shit. Now they're not going to make another like Souls like, just give me a game where I can run around with a sword again, I'm sure maybe that'll be their next game. But then after that, they might try something new again, or maybe another Armored Core game. And so then I'll have to wait more years before I get another game where I can run around with a sword. You know what I mean? It's let's put it this way. It's a very selfish opinion, but I'm the consumer, right? So shouldn't I have a selfish opinion in terms of what I would like to consume next, I suppose? What I would like to see. So that's it. Am I happy that Armored Core 6 is successful? No, because that makes it less likely I get another one of the types of games that I like to play, or at least it will happen less frequently. That's it. Rico Guapo says they would have the money to make even better Souls games. That's also very possibly true. Like, with that Elden Ring money and that Armored Core 6 money, I wonder what they make next. It'll be kind of crazy. Oh, let's get the streamlights to 300 real quick. Deshaun Comedy. Why doesn't Toei adapt all the cover stories after Wano so they have time to do the final saga justice with better pacing and animation? So that is the eternal story with Toei. What I've heard, and this is one of those things where somebody just like people just start saying it and then it gets reiterated a bunch, so you never know if it's true or not. But what people have said supposedly is that stories or episodes without the Straw Hats don't do as well in terms of viewership and ratings. So for if that is true, and it's a thing that you could likely believe, you could believe that, right? Like some of the cover stories, if you think, like some of the cover stories are fucking Jinbei traveling underwater to help out a random cat for like 20 chapters, you know? So some of the cover stories are, it makes sense. Like, what did we get recently? We got like the worst cover story of all time, like Capone Beige and like Lola and like, all that stuff, and then Pound coming back. I can understand why Toei would not want to adapt that stuff if it's bad for views, right? I understand why. It's just disappointing that that's just the way it is, right? It's just the way it is. So they have no incentive to do it because it'll be bad for views. And the reality is that they don't have, like, if you're a business and you've realized that you can get away with minimal effort, right? Like, what does it mean when an episode is slow paced? If an episode's slow paced, it generally means that you're doing less movement in the episode, right? You're having to animate less. You can get away with a lot of reaction shots. You can replay old clips and flashbacks to old clips. Um, you can animate characters moving slowly or like crude movements and things like that. That's what makes for a slow paced, low effort episode, right? It is in Toei's best interest to do as many of those types of episodes as possible, while still maintaining their normal level of viewership. You know, if you gave them the option of like, hey, why don't you adapt these fillers instead? Because if you put in effort into adapting those fillers, and then that way when it comes to the actual source material, you can do higher level like animation. You can like make things move faster. You can do less reaction shots. You have less filler flashback sequences and stuff. They'd be like, why would we want to do that? That means that we have to put more effort in those episodes. That's harder for us. That's worse. So we're at a point where Toei has no incentive to try, right? They just have to try once in a while to put out those really flashy good clips that will be enough to get people like talking on the internet, keep One Piece's hype up, but they have no reason to adapt cover stories and stuff like that because they've realized that they can get away with anything. They can get away with murder, basically. you know, that's how I view it. They're just getting away with it, basically. Which is why people that hype up the anime annoy me because I'm like, you guys are, in my opinion, it's just like you guys are part of the problem. It's just because people like you just, not people like, because people will just like ignore Toei being bad 6 out of 7 episodes and then like suck Toei off for like trying for like three minutes out of like 3 months of bad episodes, but trying really hard for 3 minutes, and people will suck Toei off for that. I'm like, that's the reason that Toei is able to get away with this and give us so much shit, because people like eat up. Like people are willing to slog through so much of Toei's garbage to get to the one like the one pearl that Toei finally throws us, Um it's like if people like the fact that viewers continually tune in despite that shitty effort by Toei because they're okay with just being given like one little reward once in a while. That's why like you're feeding Toei's viewership rating, you're getting their ratings up, so they have no incentive to do any better. Umair Ula says, how many years do you think One Piece manga is left? I have literally no idea at this point, because back when Oda gave his last 5-year prediction or whatever, I think that was when he took his break. Back when he did that, this was last year, right? Back when he did that, he was like, I'm taking a break to streamline the story of One Piece and really trim it down. Right then, I was like, okay, I think this one feels more real. This one feels like it's the time, This one feels like it's happening. He's trimmed it down. We are 1 year past that like last 5-year prediction or whatever, right? We're 1 year past it. And we're not even at the first arc that we thought was going to be the first arc of the final saga. Most people thought it was going to be Elbaf is the first arc, right? Some people thought some random stuff like Lodestar or something like that. Nobody had fucking Egghead Island. We didn't even know that was a fucking thing. And we're not going to leave this place till the end of like 2023 at the earliest. So it's just like the timeline that people were initially imagining, okay, like 5 years. So like maybe a year for Elbaf, and then like a year to get to Laugh Tale, and then like maybe like a couple years for the final war and stuff like that. Like we're not even there yet. We haven't even gotten to the arcs that we thought we were going to be focusing on in this final saga. We're at some random bullshit right now. And we're loving it, obviously, but it makes it so hard to believe that Oda can wrap it in like in 3 years from now. So I'm gonna say maybe 5 years. I don't know. Um, just the rate of chapters is so slow at this point. It gets slower every year because just the number of breaks goes up every year. There's just always something new. Like we're going on break again next week. We'll be closer to probably 30 chapters for the year than 40 chapters, which I think is kind of insane, right? So if we want to do some quick math, right? Like how many chapters? Like let's pretend we're gonna hit chapter 1100 soon, right? 5 years. That's what, like 38 chapters times 5. It's 200 chapters, right? I could see One Piece ending in 200 chapters. It would just be hard because we left Wano at 1060-ish. And Egghead, that means Egghead will have taken 40 chapters. And this was a random ass mini arc, essentially, that none of us even saw coming. So it's like, if Egghead's 40 chapters, why wouldn't Elbaf be like 40 chapters? You know, Egghead's got so few characters. We've got just the Straw Hats, Vegapunk, Bonnie, some CP0 agents. It's got nothing, and it's already taking so long. It's like 40 chapters. We've had cutaways to the outside world, but we're going to be getting a lot of cutaways to the outside world. That's not going to stop. It's going to keep ramping up because more shit's going on. We're just getting started. So if this takes 40 chapters, why wouldn't Elbaf take like 40 chapters? Why wouldn't Laugh Tale take like another 40 chapters? The entire battle in Onigashima, once it got started, that took like, if it started at chapter 1000, no, it started before chapter 1000. Them just getting to Onigashima and disembarking, that took like 20 chapters for the battle to start. I don't know. Final War is going to have so many characters. Oda's clearly taking time to focus on side characters as well, like Kobe and Garp and all of this shit, and like even Cross Guild. Maybe he can close it out in 200 chapters. I don't know. Maybe 5 years from now. It's a long answer to that question, but it's a question I hadn't thought about in a bit just because there's been no signs of us being anywhere close to the end. Like, I thought that the pace was going to pick up a lot after Wano based on what Oda's statements were, but it's honestly pretty much exactly the same. If anything, we're getting more and more storylines and extra, like, character storylines that we didn't expect. Javon Johnson, thanks for the 5. The live action is about to do wonders for Sanji's characters by not making him a weirdo. You know what's really... It's a funny way to put it. I like to think like the type of Sanji that we're seeing right now is probably closer to what Sanji was initially in Baratier. It's just that he devolved in so many ways over the course of the rest of the series, right? Into becoming basically just this 50% a joke of a character, basically. I think it would be very interesting to see how do I put this? Like, there's going to be people, I think, at this point, I do believe now, there are going to be people that watch the live action and then try One Piece, the manga, or the anime. It's going to be very interesting to see the difference in opinion, because I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, right? The difference in opinion that people have of their concept of the live action characters, right? If you're a new fan, you watch the live action, you're like, okay, I like these characters. Let me read about them. Let me watch the anime of them, like the anime version or the manga, right? And then they're going to inevitably see that the manga and anime versions of the characters are going to be different from what they initially saw there. Obviously, that happens with plenty of other adaptations, but I just feel like a bit of a difference here is that, you know, like you get plenty of movie to book adaptations and stuff where you like watch a movie and then you read the book and realize the characters are a bit different. I think it's different because here, I think if you're going from the live action, the most likely place you're going to try next is the anime, not the manga. If you try from live action to the anime, it's just going to be weird because you're not like you're going from one medium, like going from a medium where you're like watching and hearing the character, right? Like a live action Lord of the Rings, right? And then you go to a book and you're reading Aragorn or Aragon and you're reading like Frodo and you're reading Sam stuff, right? Like you're already ready for that difference, right? But going from live action to animated, I feel like that's going to be very different because that's like going from you're watching and seeing the character and you have like a visual and auditory perception of what they are. And then you go to the anime and you get like a totally different, you're watching a totally different character that speaks very differently, acts very differently, etc. I think that's a lot less common. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if there's gonna be a bunch of Sanji fans coming from live action, then going over to the anime and being like, "What the fuck is this? Why is he saying Melorine all the time?" Remember he used to say that? He doesn't say that as much now. Melorine was hilarious to me. I feel like his jokes just used to be funnier. Like, now it's just more played out, and it's just more obtrusive, and it's just more extreme, and I just feel like they're more lazy very often. Like, he sees a girl, explodes. Like, I don't know. Kino the Far, thanks a lot. Hello, Morge. My car's still broken. Same, dude. Same. I'm in a new rental car, but my anniversary is next week. Congratulations. Hope you. Well, you can't drive her anywhere, but Uber. Help me figure out something to do. I'm worried she'll leave me if I mess up. Your anniversary? Is this like your wedding anniversary? If this is your wedding anniversary, I'm sure she's not going to leave you if you mess up a wedding anniversary. Kino the Far says, "Is Lucci the Marine equivalent of a Yonko commander?" Um, where did I rank him? I remember we did the top 30, and I think like a lot of people were upset with my ranking of Lucci. But my take was always just that, like, just because Luffy easily steamrolled Lucci, I'm sure like Luffy could probably do that, but easier to a lot of Yonko commander level characters. You know what I mean? So it was just unfortunate that Lucci had to go up against Luffy so like as a punching bag essentially, but that's not a good way to gauge Lucci's strength. As for how strong I guess he is, like I think let's go back. Let's go back. What did I put Lucci at? If we go to more just top 30, my top 30, what did I have at the end? Yeah, my top 30 I had Lucci pretty damn high. Um I had Lucci below Marco and King and Sabo. I had him above Law and Kid and Sanji. And I had him above Katakuri. People thought that was controversial. But my simple take is basically like Luffy, like if you look at what Kaido did to Luffy in Act 1, right? If you just look at the gaps, right? How easily Kaido beat Luffy in Act 1, basically zero effort, right? Um Luffy today should be able to beat Katakuri the exact same way, like as easily as Kaido beat Luffy in Act 1. You get what I'm saying? The fact that Lucci lasted 2 chapters tells me that he's probably a little bit above Katakuri. Because again, Luffy today should basically be able to zero diff Katakuri. Like it should just happen right away. No gear fifth or anything needed. Period. If Lucci lasted a couple chapters, I think that that's better than Katakuri would do against Luffy to get today. Again, because we have the scaling from Kaido versus Luffy Act 1. Luffy is now relative to Kaido. So Luffy should do the same thing that Kaido did to Luffy. Luffy should be able to do to Katakuri, which in my opinion means that Lucci did a better showing than Katakuri would. That's just my take on it. I think they're about the same. Billy Bob says, all I know is Lord hates Law and Kid. The more that, here's the thing, I've tried to look at it a million different ways. And the more that I look at like Law and Kid's showing against Big Mom, you guys don't even fucking understand. I wish I had my normal streaming thing set up, but like, because I can't screen share right now with the I'm it's hard to explain. My my Streamlabs stuff isn't working too well right now, so I'm having to stream through YouTube's jank backup option. But anyway, um, the more I've looked at it, the more and more I've looked at it, the worse and worse Lawn Kid look. Because like, if you really want to go back and look, one, the more I realized that like Lawn Kid defeating Big Mom was actually almost entirely due to the explosives. And this is not me exaggerating. This okay, this is me part. I'm definitely like joking a good portion of this, but less than you might think. Because I go back and read those chapters and I read the dialogue and I'm just like, they really didn't do that much to her. Like, she's fine. The moment that she's out of the fight is when the explosives hit her. Like literally, she was close to the only reason she wasn't able to get back up there and beat the shit out of them, which she was prepared to do because Law and Kid were explicitly out of energy at that point and Big Mom was still going, is because she got blown up by 10,000 tons of TNT. 10,000 tons of TNT. And then that makes her eyes go wide, and then she actually falls through the hole, etc. But she was fucking fine before that. The fight was pretty much like she could have walked back up, just beating the shit out of them. They did not do that much. And here's the fucked up thing. I'm going to bring this up next stream as soon as I have my screen sharing capabilities back. I challenge you guys, if anybody thinks that what Law and Kid did to Big Mom was impressive, I challenge you guys to go back to One Piece chapter, what is it, 980, 989? Maybe it's 989? Go back to chapter 988 and 89. And forget comparing Kid and Law to Zoro and Sanji. That, to me, that comparison, I think we all overrated Kid and Law way too hard to even be comparing them to Zoro and Sanji. Okay? Because here's the thing. Kid and Law, what they did to Big Mom is the same shit. The mid-tier Straw Hats, Frankie, Jinbei, and Robin, they were fucking up Big Mom. Read chapter 988 and 989. They had an easier time fucking up Big Mom, a serious Big Mom who was angry. They got her out of Onigashima easier than Law and Kid. They rolled her the fuck out of there. And they were barely even trying. So, like, the more you look back at it, the more you go back and look, the less impressive Kid and Law's feats become. Because it's just like, the fucking mid-tier Straw Hats were fucking manhandling Big Mom. That's like, go back and read it. Like, it's a fucking joke. It is not impressive to knock Big Mom around. It just isn't. Because there's no way to spin these feats. Go back and read 988, 989. All right? Like, Jinbei can literally grab her, flip her, and Robin rolls her off the island. How is that any different from Kid and Law? If anything, Kid and Law had a million times greater difficulty doing what Robin and Jinbei did and fucking Frankie did in like 5 panels. They didn't even care. I don't ever want to hear Kid and Law compared to Zoro and Sanji again because it's just a joke. It's like, compare them to, like, the ones that you would compare them to are Jinbei, Robin, Frankie, because they did better against Big Mom than Kid and Law. If you want to argue, well, Kid and Law actually did damage to Big Mom, sure, that's fine, but that's not what won them the fight. What won them the fight was getting her off Onigashima, which was thanks to 10,000 tons of TNT. If you give, like, Frankie 10,000 tons of TNT, I'm sure he'd find a way to do some shit to Big Mom. Like, it's just, pull out the projector. I wish I could. If any time, I wish there was a way that I could show you guys this right now. This is the worst day possible to not have the screen sharing set up. But it's just like, there's just no argument for Kid and Law at this point. Like, you can literally look at the mid-tier Straw Hats. They're fucking her up effortlessly. It's a joke. They could throw her down a hole. They could throw her into 10,000 tons of TNT. There's just no comparison. So yes, Lucci is definitely stronger than Kid and Law. Because, like, there's just no, like, Kid just got one-shotted by Shanks. You know what I mean? Lucci's up against Luffy. He's not getting one-shotted right away. You know what I'm saying? Keenan says, Morge, please stop the trolling. I'm okay. I know if I'm okay. I am trolling to some degree, but there is a strong part of me that believes that this is like an airtight argument. All right. I know that Kid and Law are closer to Zoro and Sanji than they are to, like, Robin and Jinbei and Frankie. But I just feel like the arguments for Kid and Law are really, really fucking shaky because their best feat, which is beating Big Mom, they have clearly greater trouble with her than Jinbei and Robin and Frankie do. Like, that's a pure fact. That's not an opinion type thing. That is, you pull up the panel. I wish I could pull up the panels for you right now. You can literally read it and you can compare side by side what happens. And there's not really an excuse because Big Mom is enraged in both scenarios. She's not like holding back or some shit. She's like literally, like, the context, by the way, for if you want to know what happens here, if you don't have the chapters up yourself, is that Big Mom actually runs into Luffy and she's here ready to fuck up Luffy, right? So if anything, she's probably angrier than she was when she's fighting Kid and Law. So she's ready to fuck up Luffy. And then Frankie runs in, hits her with a motorcycle. So, like, Big Mom has zero observation hockey. Pretty much anything can hit her. And then Big Mom winds up for a hit, and then Jinbei flips her and Robin rolls her the fuck off the island. And then that's just it. That's the fight's over. That's it. It's like I don't know why people like did everyone just forget that this scene happened? Because I think everybody thinks that Kid in Law knocking Big Mom off of Onigashima is like really impressive, but it's genuinely not. It's actually extremely unimpressive. Billy Bob says you're comparing a full fight to a straw hat moment, but that's the thing. Like you get more points for finishing it off like quicker. It's not like you know, if it happens faster, that's actually it makes the straw hats look better. You know, if Kid and Law if they had 5 panels where they run into Big Mom, they're like, oh well, we'll just fuck her up, and then Law makes a huge hole, and then Kid blasts her down it, and then she's out of the battlefield. That would be really like compared if they did that in 5 panels, and then you have an alternate scene where it's like Jinbei, Robin, and Frankie taking like 10 chapters and extreme damage trying to get Big Mom off the battlefield. Obviously, you'd be like, well, Kid and Law were more impressive, right? Why doesn't that logic hold the other way around? Doing it faster is more impressive in this context. in the context of power scaling. DVSV Floods is more trolling. I am trolling because at the end of the day, I do know that like in the context of the story, we're not supposed to think of Kid and Law as like the same level as the mid-tier Straw Hats. I know that. But at the same time, the facts are also the facts. What they did is not impressive, objectively speaking, because you've got other characters doing it easier that are pretty weak, you know, relatively speaking. So that's all I'm saying. Blacklegs is more Dreed's agenda piece. I don't even know what to like. What I would love to hear a counter argument here. I would love to hear a counter argument because it's like if you read these scenes unbiased, just being like, yeah, character A, B, like character A and B, Robin and Jinbei, they handled this character like this, and then characters C and D, after extreme damage and like random explosives and stuff, they were able to do the same thing, which was remove this character Big Mom off the battlefield. If you remove all bias, right? This is the opposite of agenda piece. You just remove all bias, right? Imagine these are nameless characters. Watch what like Frankie, Robin, and Jinbei did to Big Mom. Watch how Kid and Law did against Big Mom and the circumstances that had to happen there. Like objectively, if you just read it, like pretend they're nameless characters, you just be like, yeah, first group of characters clearly are more impressive. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't. I want to hear a counter argument because I just don't see any. Ender Anami says there isn't a counter argument other than one is played for a gag and the other one is taken seriously. Lol. Yeah, but I mean, like to me, it's just like if one's a gag moment because the other characters can take care of her so laughably easy. I don't know. And then the other two characters are fighting for their lives. I don't know. OG3 says if you read it unbiased, you would see that Big Mom's power is crazy inconsistent, but by Oda, lol, the bias makes you frame it as Kid and Law suck. No, but that you're deciding. I would agree that Big Mom's power is inconsistent, but then you're the one that's deciding. Like it's upon you to come in and decide. Like, well, the characters I like and I want to say are strong, Kid and Law, they're the ones whose feats we should take seriously, and like it just can't be compared to what these other characters did. That's you pulling in the bias. Like objectively reading it, you just say like, again, all nameless characters just line up what they did, right? And then you don't really pick and choose. You're just like, yeah, reality is these guys did the same shit as these guys. These guys, if anything, were probably more impressive than what these guys did. So I don't know. Like you can't just come in and say like, well, I want Law and Kid to be stronger than, you know, I want to pretend they're stronger than Zoro and Sanji or something. Therefore, we're going to say that this feat is super impressive. But well, what about these feats by characters that are clearly weaker than Zoro and Sanji? It's like, no. We won't count that. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think people have weird concepts of what objective is because it's more like any argument that I see for it, it's kind of just like, well, we want Kid and Law to their feat against Big Mom to be impressive. It's like, dude, it's like she got hit by 10,000 tons of TNT. They didn't do that much. Like removing her from the battlefield is not impressive because other weaker characters have done that. I don't know. I don't know. El Coco Loco Barocco Come Moco says mid-tier strats would get deleted by the Blackbeard parts in Winter Island. Here's the thing. Because even with that, we've got some actual evidence against it. Because do you think that Jinbei or Robin or Frankie, do you think they're stronger than Beppo? I think they're stronger than Beppo, personally. So if Beppo, like we hype up Law being able to take on Blackbeard, but fucking Beppo was able to to take on Blackbeard and get away with it too. Do I think Jinbei would do better than Beppo in that scenario? Yeah. Do I think Robin would? Yeah. Do I think Frankie would? Yeah. So yeah, there we go. If you had the strats there, I don't know. I don't, I don't know. I'm back to saying that I think that there was a period of time I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm downplaying Law and Kid too much, but I'm back to thinking that we've all been overhyping them. We've all been overhyping them. Bassem El Madawi, thanks for the 5. This is a good chance to see what plot elements Oda seems important from East Blue. No Smoker means he's not important. I'm excited to see what he's kept. The thing about Smokers, I've heard that Loketown is not included. So it's not that it would be for the next season. So it's not that Smoker's necessarily not important, but that he just might not make the cut for this season. Hernando Rodriguez says, I'm using my birthday to blackmail people to watch with me. This better be good. Did you already comment this, or did somebody else already say this? Keenan says, more channeling his inner rat. Shout out to Jay. Obviously, I'm not being 100% serious here. I just don't think that, I don't know. I'm definitely sticking to the take that Lucci is stronger than Law or Kid. Definitely sticking to that take. I just don't think Law or Kid would hit him. There have been gifted matchups against the incredibly slow Big Mom, who literally every character can hit. Again, Jinbei, Robin, Frankie can hit her. I don't see Law hitting Lucci. I don't see Kid hitting Lucci. Yeah, the list that I did, you guys can check my top 30 list. I think it's still looking pretty good. The top 30 list that I did 2 months ago. Shit. I ranked Garp. I actually put Garp. This doesn't hold up well. Aokiji above. I had Aokiji above Garp. Now I feel like Garp is at least equal to Aokiji. But I don't know. Splitting hairs there. Zoro above Yamato, Marco, King, then Sabo, then Lucci, then Law, then Kid, then Sanji. I feel like I should have gone with my gut and I think I was trying to appease too many people by putting Sanji below Law and Kid, but I should have put Sanji above him. Sanji's too fast too, in my opinion. All right, we are going to call the stream in a couple minutes. Zebrahim, thanks very much. Do you think season 2 would cover Loketown to Alabasta? I feel like that's too much for, I assume, another 8 to 10 episodes. I think that I think it's very doable if you shorten some aspects of it, right? Little Garden is the one that's really fucking tricky. I don't know how they fucking do Little Garden, man. Little Garden is actually probably the hardest to adapt out of those. And I think season 2 would have. Okay, so if we did a hypothetical season 2, right? Hypothetical season 2, episode 1 would be Loketown. If we assume that Loketown doesn't, if we're saying Loketown does not make the cut for this season, right? Episode 1 of season 2, let's say that that's Loketown, right? Episode 2 is what, getting into the Grand Line or some shit. Episode 3 is Whiskey Peak. Maybe they combine elements of Little Garden and Drum Kingdom. So that's episode 4. And then maybe the last 4 episodes are all Alabasta, because Alabasta is a very long plot. Alabasta would need at least 3 episodes, probably 4. Dan Punk one-shots Lucci? I agree, but it would just never hit him. Alabasta should get its own season? Not really, because, like, if you're looking at length of the story, season 1 of, like, East Blue is 100 chapters. Then the Baroque Work saga is 116 chapters. It's roughly the same length, you know? Um, Giving Alabasta a whole season for itself just doesn't make sense. The thing that makes more sense, in my opinion, would just be covering all of the Baroque Work saga in season 2 and shaving off whatever elements they think are a little bit too long. Chopper takes the whole budget to season 2. That's funny. Kino the Far says, "Who reads your business email? I need a job." That's what do you think this is, dude? This is not a job application site. The business email is covered by Table Rock Management, so they basically look at everything that's coming in at the moment. If you need a job, what do you want me to hire you to do? Ray Chia, thanks for the 2. If Brooke had hockey, he could have hit Big Mom. Yeah, true. Efrain Inu. Yeah, I think Efrain Inu's breakdown seems accurate. I figured that they might need a little bit more of a. They could probably do the whole introduction to the Grand Line and Whiskey Peak in one episode. I thought maybe that would need to be spread out a bit more, but that seems right. Yeah, I think 4 for Alabasta feels right too. Schmike the Melks, thanks for the 2. Morge, I love you, never change. Hope you're happy. Thanks, man. I do appreciate it. I am happy. Kino the Far says, anything, please. I spent all my money on supers. That's true, you did. You don't have a car, and your anniversary is coming up, and you're worried that your wife/girlfriend will leave you if you don't come through. So your plan is to get a job through me to fund all. Kino the Far, I appreciate you, but I don't. What's your skill set? Tell me your skill set here, please. I'll look out for your next comment. Is there a skill set that you have that's very valuable? Can you fix laptops? Can you fix OBS? Tala says, hire me to make your short/TikToks. Got experience. I've thought about that, and over time I've realized that I'm not interested in getting into short/TikToks. All right, I do think I have to call it here. I'm interested in seeing Kino the Far's pitch, but I don't think he has one. Basa Meladawi says maybe he could make streams not crash. That's what I'm saying. Like if I could get some tech expertise, that'd be good. Seeing multiple people chiming in saying like maybe he makes you not late or on time. On time. Blacklex says quick thoughts on Shine real quick. I actually gave those earlier this stream. Maybe it was in the previous version of the stream that crashed. But I only saw grand finals. I tuned in to see grand finals. Cody is my favorite player. I still think he needs to change his tag, and that's part of the reason he doesn't have a sponsor. But yeah, I think the highest level of melee that I've ever seen, easily, the set 2 of grand finals, because Zane and Cody were both hitting insane shit throughout the like, they were both playing so ridiculously on point. Like, just the depth and complexity of some of their interactions of, like, you do this, then I do this, then I slide off, then I do this, then I SDI, then I do this. It's so much to follow, and they have to kill each other 15 times to actually kill each other. It was mind blowing. Like, for them to play that way all the way through game 5. Like, game 5 had a couple little things that you could call flubs, but, like, they were just playing task level melee all the way throughout. I don't think I've ever seen that. All right, let's see. Kino the Forest says, "Okay, I'm gonna make you a mod at the very least. How about that? Publish in the Berkeley City paper. That okay? You're actually breaking. Okay, I thought this was mostly a joke. Um, that you're looking for a job. Okay, head multimedia editor of the Daily California newspaper, and I have a can-do attitude. Any more and more just ask. So you have a job. You've got a real job. You're the head multimedia editor of the Daily California newspaper. You have a real job. Why do you need? I have nothing to offer you. Is the problem? I have no job for you, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the pitch, but I don't have a job for you. Give Kino a job? Who do you guys think I am? You think I've got jobs to just hand out? Nerve AMV Maker, thanks for the 5. With the manga being basically bi-weekly at this point, do you think the anime will finally shift to seasons? Um, no. I I think it would be amazing if the anime did, but I'm very confident the anime won't. Kino the Farce says, "No, that was my old job. I lost that a year ago." Dude, you gotta stop super chatting. Stop super chatting. I can't believe I'm saying this, but you need to stop super chatting because you've got a car to look out for and a wife slash girlfriend whose anniversary you got to look out for, and you don't have a job right now. Um, and I can't give you a job, but I appreciate the all the support and you tuning in. No, I'm not giving away jobs. I'm not giving away jobs. Enough of this. All right. I think I have to call the stream on this before people riot and demand that I employ all of you guys. I didn't know that's what this dynamic was. All right, guys. I appreciate it. And Edson Island, to cap things off, welcome to the Yonko. Watch out for the Yonko podcast coming out this Friday. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully, the stream stuff will be back to normal very soon, but who knows? And yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.